Derrick Henry has finally addressed a question that has followed his career for quite some time: retirement. At 32 years old and preparing to enter another NFL season, the Baltimore Ravens star gave a direct answer about his future, and his words are already creating a lot of buzz around the league. But what makes this story so surprising isn't only what Henry said. The most impressive part is that he continues to challenge everything we usually see from running backs at this stage of their careers. And once you see the numbers, the records, and the historic milestones he is still chasing, you'll understand why so many fans are talking about this. What's up, Flock? My name is Tiago. I'm a Brazilian Ravens fan, and welcome back to Purple Flock TV. Whenever a running back gets past the age of 30 in the NFL, the conversation usually starts to change. Instead of talking about records or great seasons, people start wondering how much longer that player can keep going. So when Derrick Henry was asked about retirement again, many expected a careful answer, but that's not what happened at all. The Baltimore Ravens star went straight to the point. I don't enter a season thinking about retirement. That's not even part of my mindset. Henry explained that his focus is finding ways to get better every single day and helping his team reach its full potential. What stands out the most is how calmly he talks about it, like someone who still believes he has plenty left to accomplish on the football field. And when you look at what he has done recently, it's easy to understand why he feels this way. We're talking about a player who remains one of the biggest pieces of the Ravens' offense and still forces opposing defenses to create special game plans just to slow him down. When a player is still causing that kind of concern for opponents, it becomes difficult to see him as someone who is close to the end. Maybe the biggest question isn't when Derrick Henry will retire. The real question is how he continues to maintain such a high level at a position known for wearing players down quickly. And that's where the story becomes even more impressive. Because the next numbers show that Henry is entering territory where very few running backs have ever been able to reach. There's a reason why so many people were surprised when Derrick Henry dismissed the idea of retirement. The running back position is known for wearing players down faster than almost any other position in football. These athletes take dozens of hits every game, accumulate years of physical punishment, and constantly put stress on their knees, ankles, and muscles. Because of that, many running backs start losing their effectiveness before they even reach their 30s. That's exactly why Henry's situation is so impressive. In 2026, he will enter his 11th NFL season at 32 years old. That alone puts him in a very exclusive group. While many talented players disappear from the spotlight when they reach this stage of their careers, Henry is still viewed as one of the top players at his position across the entire league. The most interesting part is that we're not talking about a player who was protected or given an easy workload throughout his career. Quite the opposite. Henry has taken an enormous amount of carries since entering the NFL. In theory, that type of workload should accelerate a decline in performance. But the reality is telling a completely different story. He is still running with power, speed, and explosiveness, the exact traits that usually begin to disappear as players get older. And when you look at NFL history, you start to understand how rare what Henry is doing really is. Very few running backs remain relevant after turning 32. Even fewer continue to be true difference makers. So the conversation is no longer only about how much longer Henry will play. The bigger question now is how far he can continue pushing his production on the field. And his recent numbers suggest the answer could surprise a lot of people. When a player says he is still playing at his peak, the first thing I like to do is look at the numbers. And in Derrick Henry's case, the numbers speak for themselves. In his most recent season, he rushed for an incredible 1,595 yards. For many running backs in the NFL, reaching that number would be the best season of their entire career. For Henry, it was simply another elite year. What makes it even more impressive is that we're talking about a player who already rushed for 1,921 yards in 2024, coming extremely close to recording his second career 2,000-yard rushing season. That is such a difficult milestone that only a small group of players in NFL history have ever reached it. Being that close twice shows just how consistent Henry has been throughout his career. While many veteran players take on smaller roles as they get older, Henry remains a central part of the Ravens' offense. A huge part of Baltimore's offensive identity comes from his ability to control the running game. And when a defense has to dedicate so much attention to a 32-year-old running back, it becomes clear he is far from being just another veteran trying to hang on. What stands out the most is that these numbers represent more than individual statistics. They are proof that Henry continues to impact games at a level very few players can reach. And if he keeps the same pace for another season, he could reach historic milestones that place him alongside some of the greatest running backs the sport has ever seen. Sometimes numbers stop being just statistics and start telling a bigger story. That is exactly what is happening with Derrick Henry. If he surpasses the 1,000-yard rushing mark this season, he will join an extremely exclusive group of players who have been able to reach that level of production at age 32 or older. To understand how impressive this achievement would be, just look at how few running backs have accomplished it throughout NFL history. Only 15 players have ever reached at least 1,000 rushing yards at that age. And the number becomes even more impressive when you realize only 3 players have done it since 2009, Ricky Williams, Adrian Peterson, and Frank Gore. When names like Peterson and Gore are part of this conversation, it shows the level of player we are talking about. These are athletes who challenge the expectations of the position and found ways to keep producing when most players had already started slowing down. Henry is getting closer to earning his place in that same category. But there's another possibility that makes this story even more fascinating. If he continues playing beyond this season, he could enter an even rarer group. Running backs who have rushed for more than 1,000 yards at age 33 or older. And at that point, this would no longer be only about longevity. We would be watching a career that could become one of the most remarkable the running back position has ever seen.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, smash that like button to help the purple flock grow.
A lot of people look at rushing yards, touchdowns, and records, and all of those things matter. But there's another detail that might be even more impressive about Derrick Henry's recent career. His ability to stay healthy. At a position where injuries are almost unavoidable, he continues to be available week after week. Over the last 4 years, Henry has missed only 1 game. When you look at that number, it is honestly hard not to be impressed. We're talking about a player who takes constant physical punishment, goes against some of the strongest defenders in the world, and still manages to be on the field almost every Sunday. That doesn't happen by accident. Even more impressive is the fact that he has played all 17 games in each of the last 3 seasons. In a league where injuries can completely change the direction of a team season, having such an important player available throughout the entire year gives the Ravens a massive advantage. That consistency helps explain why he remains such a valuable part of this roster. And maybe that combination is what makes Derrick Henry such a rare case in NFL history. He is not only continuing to produce at an elite level, but he is also still there when his team needs him the most. Now, there's one question that will follow him throughout the next season. How far can he continue to take this journey? Because if the last few years are any indication, we might still not have seen the most impressive chapter of his career. Derrick Henry's statement sends a very clear message. He is not thinking about ending his NFL journey anytime soon. While many people look at his age and assume the end of his career is getting closer, Henry remains focused on improving, helping the Ravens win, and proving he can still compete at the highest level. And based on the production he continues to deliver on the field, it is hard to argue against him. What makes this story so interesting is that it goes far beyond a simple answer about retirement. We are talking about a player who continues to challenge expectations at one of the most demanding positions in football. His production, durability, and the possibility of reaching historic milestones make every additional season of his career even more meaningful for NFL fans. The next season will answer many questions that are still open. Can Derrick Henry continue putting up impressive numbers? Will he reach another historic milestone and add even more to his legacy? I want to know what you think. Do you believe Henry still has enough left to play at a high level for several more seasons? Or do you think retirement is closer than it seems? Leave your comment below.
And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out and I'll see you in the next video.